thank you all for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jamin Bray, and I'm also known as Andrea's mother, more importantly. And I'm the co-director of MEEA. And I want to do a little introduction for you here in a minute about MEEA and about what young environmental leaders are all about. But before we do that, let's get to know everybody. So I mentioned who I am. What we need to do is go around and everybody say who they are, where they're from, and where they go to school, or maybe where you work. So I'll get started. I work for MEEA, but I am from Salem, Missouri, which is South Central Missouri, down close to Ozark Scenic Riverways, in a very rural area. And it's my pleasure to be co-director of your organization. Who'd like to go next? Leslie, you want to go?
Sure. I'm Leslie Moylan, co-director with Jamin of MEEA, and I live in St. Louis and also work out of my house, just like Jamin does. So lovely to see y'all. Charles, I'll pass it to you.
All right, great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Charles Whitt. I am the Development and Marketing Director for Open Space STL, an environmental foundation in the St. Louis region, celebrating its 60th anniversary this week. And I'll pass it to...
I can go.
Andrea, okay, great.
Hi, I'm Andrea Bray. I am from Salem, Missouri also, but I go to Central Methodist University in Fayette, and I'm graduating in about 2 weeks. So
Incredible.
Is that all I'm saying? Okay.
My name is Mina Pazanka. I am a graduate student from Mizzou, and I'm also graduating in 2 weeks. So I'm hoping now that I have a little less on my plate for graduate work, I can be more active with Yellers.
MIZ.
Yes, DOU. And I am from O'Fallon, Missouri.
Emma, how about you? You're on my screen next.
Is my audio working?
Yeah.
Okay, my camera is not working. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm Emma Friedman. I'm from St. Louis. I go to Ladue High School. And is that it?
That's fantastic. Yes. Love how I think you might be our first high schooler. Thank you. Thank you. How about JJ?
Yeah, I can go. Hi, I'm JJ. I am from Jefferson City, Missouri. I went to Central Methodist University, and there I became a Yeller, and now I work for the Missouri Department of Natural Resources in the Central Field Operations, and I am a wastewater inspector. So I've been doing that for a few weeks now, and it's pretty interesting. And the only reason not the only reason, but one of the main reasons I got the job was because Jamin gave me such a beautiful, glowing reference. So I have Yellers to thank for that.
Awesome. Matt, how about you?
Oh yeah, I'm Matt Bunch. Actually, my son Isaac should be on the call here shortly. I'm the director of horticulture and education at Kansas City Community Gardens. But yeah, he will be on the call shortly. He's a high school student at Lincoln Prep, and we're here in Kansas City.
Fabulous. Thanks so much. And way to support your kid.
Yeah. Well, we'll get him on the call here. We're in the middle of dinner here too, so.
Yeah. Addie, how about you?
Hi, my name is Addie Massey. I am currently in Marshall, Missouri, and I joined with Central Methodist. And I'm working at Arrow Rock State Historic Site as an interpreter / historian.
Fantastic. Great. Jackson, glad you could make it. How about you?
Hey, my name's Jackson Bird. I go to Ozarks Tech in Springfield, Missouri. I work at Bass Pro, and I also have a job at the National Wildlife Federation as a youth advisory counselor.
Fabulous. Yeah, you're a busy guy. I know that. And last but not least, Mary.
Hi, my name is Mary. I'm currently a senior at Idea Bluff Springs, and currently I'm in Austin, Texas.
Yes, I was like, we got someone from Texas. That's awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here. So glad you're here for this first webinar.
I'm so pumped about this. All right, let's get going. And again, thank you so much for joining this webinar, and there will be more to come. We have all kinds of fun things to talk to you about, and incentives for being a young environmental leader. But let me give you a little introduction. If you're not too familiar, we need to do this for sure, about what MEEA is all about. And I'll tell you a little bit about the agenda and what we have planned for you tonight. Excuse me. So we want to talk about, in terms of the agenda, I'll go over the mission, what we do, where we want to go in the future, which of course connects very much to your generation. That's where you come in for sure. Then we will introduce our guest speaker for this evening. She's going to help you with how to build your career profile and how to work toward that. He's really an expert in marketing and so forth. And then we'll introduce a really fun project that we're working on. That'll be a lot of fun, but also tied into being connected with nature. We have an iNaturalist sharing project. We'll tell you about that in a little bit. And then we'll close out with the launch of some actual paid volunteer opportunities for our yellers, and how to get connected more directly with Leslie and myself and with the other yellers. And then we hope to be done by maybe about 8:15. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to fly through this. So feel free to put questions in the chat, or get a hold of us afterwards. But we wanted to start with just a real quick overview of MEEA's mission, if you're not really familiar. Our mission is to help educators, which does include young people who are in school still, peer education, and you have time, opportunities to educate others. But it's really about helping educators inspire Missourians to care about, understand, and act for the environment. And for the care, exposure to nature and keeping curiosity and wonder is such a big piece of moving through understanding, knowing about systems, how they work, what we can do to support the environment. And then action is a really big piece of environmental education outcomes, not just knowing what's going on in the world, but knowing how can we protect the environment and help the environment. And so stewardship is really the big outcome that we're working towards. And so what do we do towards that mission? We train educators. And like I said, young people are often peer educators. And there's just, in life, we are educators in lots of ways. The other thing we do is we grow green schools throughout the state. That's a big piece of our programmatic things that we do. We help schools lower their environmental impact, improve health and wellness, and bring in place-based and nature-based education. So all of this stuff has ways that yellers connect with and can be involved with it. So just know that you are embedded in all that we do, our vision for all that we do. And where do we want to go? Like I said, our vision really is that all Missourians are, able to care, understand, and act for the environment. And so what does that mean? We need tons more environmental educators. We really want to see every county having at least one green school. And one of the big ways that we actually do a lot with a little staff, and not a ton of funding, is we have networks, and we need stronger and more networks so that we can leverage them better. So that's really, really a very quick and dirty explanation of MEEA and what we do. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of grounding. I want to just pause. Does anybody have a burning question at this point in time, or should we keep going? I'm going to keep on. All right. Jamin, take it away.
Okay. So that was an overview of MEEA and what we do, a quick overview. But now let's talk about you, the young environmental leaders. So we mentioned that this membership is ages 16 to 26. We picked that for so many reasons, but the Gen Z generation is so integral in moving forward with environmental awareness, environmental action, and caring about the environment, probably more than any generation ever. You all are very special. And also on a more personal note, both Leslie and I have Gen Z kids. And so our heart is really in this to pass this passion on to our own children so that it will continue we'll continue to care, understand, and act. So basically, why join in a way? So what we decided to do is when we had this idea, we thought, well, why don't we just go ahead and tie the young environmental leader concept into our mission so that we could be very focused, and then all of the young people like yourselves who considered joining us could then find your lane, if you will, on how you could not only serve our organization, but also increase your own professional development, your own expertise, your own experiences as young professionals. And also, definitely still important whether or not you go into an environmental job or career, you still live on the planet and care about it. And we need our marketers, and we need our accountants, and we need folks who do technology. We need everybody in your generation to care, understand, and act on the environment. So we do have some examples of some of the things that our Yellers so far in the last year and a half, 2 years that we've been working on this. For caring, what we decided was, people are not going to take care of the environment if they're not connected to it. And the way that we connect folks to things going on in the environment is through communications, through marketing, through journalism, and outreach, and getting out into communities and talking to people about what we do and how we can make our planet more sustainable. So our marketing folks that we do have in our cohort, my daughter Andrea, that's her jam. We also have in the photographs that you're looking at, we have JJ and Addie there tabling at a conference, our last year's conference. They actually ran the Young Environmental Leaders table at our annual conference down in Springfield. And this is them talking to new and interested people of their own age about MEEA, but also how they can join us and how they can get connected with what we do. So that's super important just to get the word out. As far as understanding that part of our mission, that has more to do with the educational component. We do have folks like Colin in the right-hand picture, who is an educator and an outreach person for the Natural Resources Conservation Association agency, I should say. And then we have Mina, who is here with us. You can see her next to Colin there in that right-hand picture. And Mina has been a force when it comes to interpretation and getting the word out to folks in the work that you do. We'll talk about this in a second, but I am curious about, Mina, what you're doing at this point in terms of your career. We'll get to that later. Then as far as the ACT part of our mission, taking action, that's huge. That's huge for us. And I know it's huge for your generation as well. So we have people who have, like Jack Ferris, who is the tall fella right in front of Leslie, who's doing like rabbit ears or something in that picture, but he is very much an advocate for doing a greening of his campus where he goes to college in St. Louis. And so he's an advocate of takes action in his community. And then the last person on the right, that's Zoe, who is a journalist and is an excellent writer and can help take action in terms of keeping us updated on what's going on in the world. Those are all just throwing some ideas out for how so many different people from so many different interests and so many different career paths can still be a part of the Young Environmental Leaders. So at this point, if I could, I would like to ask any of you who I call my old yellers. You might be too young to have ever seen that or read that book, but any of you, so Addie or Andrea or JJ or Mina, if you would like to just kind of make a little testimonial about why you have what you've gotten from being a yeller and why it's important to you to join, how it's contributed to you, maybe your career goals, and also, yeah, if you want to continue moving forward and what you want to do moving forward. So anybody just kind of jump in.
I can start. I feel like for me, it's a sense of community for people who are like-minded and who are also interested in investing in themselves and are taking it seriously, and who want to benefit the parks and recreation field. So I feel like that's the main takeaway for me, and I want to be able to, get that message out to other people and get other people to join too. Yeah, I would say like the skill building activities, like I really am excited about like getting my resume better. And then also I feel like there's a lot of like, don't want to be exclusive opportunities, but like job opportunities and like webinars and stuff like this. So it's just like an additional resource to have under your belt that it's not too much pressure. Like, as I said, my graduate project, I was super overwhelmed with it. So I've like really pulled back from like all my like organizations and volunteering. And so I'm really excited like to get back into it once I graduate, but it's nice that like you also have that control of how much you want to participate too.
Thanks, Mina. That's perfect. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, so kind of like what Mina was saying with the community, I think that that's really important, especially as coming from somebody who has lived in rural areas and went to kind of smaller school. It's really nice knowing like, okay, we do have a force behind us. It's not only three of us who care about this. So having that widespread community has been really, really nice in that way. And it's also just been really, really nice to talk to people who have been in the educational field. So I really wanted to go into parks and do interpretive work. And Jamin was an absolute force in getting me there. And so it was just so nice to be able to look up to both Jamin and Leslie and what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then be able to look towards what my goals are for myself and have almost like a blueprint of kind of ways to get there.
Beautiful. Thank you, Addie.
You'll have to excuse me because I'm on my after dinner walk, but whenever Mia like came around, I was like, yeah, just another something CMU wants me to join. Like, I'm not sure if I want to join another thing. I'm already in so many things, like so much on my plate. But whenever I did join it, I realized that these women are fighting for me and my future. I'm not just a number. I'm not just a student to them. I'm a person with feelings, thoughts, and they got me to where I am today. And I'm just like so grateful that I was a part of this and decided to stick with it. And it's gotten me to some of the best places in my life. So I'm very grateful.
JJ, oh my gosh. Andrea, would you like to try to follow those those comments?
So I think I was one of the first people to be in YEL, and that was kind of just, my mom wanted me to be in it and be her guinea pig, but because I'm not a science person, I don't really see it in the same way that you guys do as like a job opportunity and things like that. And I hope that whenever I'm in grad school and I have more time, I can do more things for marketing, for MEEA, like graphics and stuff, especially. But that's kind of how I see it, as like a platform I could use to build my own portfolio and help you guys with the skills that I have.
Thanks. Thanks, baby.
Thank you all for being here.
And yeah, thank you so much for those testimonials as well. We appreciate you all so much. And the kind words that you shared about your experience means a lot to us. And now you are the more senior members of our Yale group. And so now it helps Leslie and I know that we have experienced mentors that can help new people coming on. So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay, we are going to introduce we're so grateful to have our very first guest speaker. We are going to have guest speakers at all of our quarterly meetings, and they're really exciting. But our first guest speaker is Mr. Charles Whitt. He brings over 30 years of marketing, communications, sales, and event management experience to you, including heavy involvement in the environmental and agricultural sectors. He recently joined as a board member for the Missouri Green Building Council. That's fantastic. An organization which he has been active in for over the last 4 years as a mentor for what's called the Green Schools Quest. Additionally, in the climate action sector, he's been active. He leads the development and marketing for Open Space STL, mentors for the Climate Reality Project Global Leader Training Program. Wow. And assists on the communication efforts for the Sierra Club. He has a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Missouri, MIZ, and an MBA from the University of Rochester. He's a proud dad to 2 daughters, okay, and is happiest when he's outdoors, either running, biking, hiking, or kayaking. Charles, it's so great for you to be here with us tonight for this wonderful group of people, and we would like to introduce Mr. Charles Whitt.
Well, thanks for having
you.
me. Yeah, and this group reminds me when I worked in the agricultural industry, I used to go to the national FFA convention, typically held in Louisville, Kentucky. And the enthusiasm that those students have seems to mirror the enthusiasm that this group has. So it's great to be here tonight. So let me share my screen and we'll get underway. Can everybody see that all right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, with this being a mix of, college seniors who are almost graduating and some high school students, hopefully this will, what it will go through tonight, will be some new ideas for you to consider. I will say frankly that with the seniors that are 2 weeks away from graduation, I do hope that you've already thought about some of this, but if not, hopefully this will help you moving forward. We'll go through some thoughts on looking at your resume and what to consider in that area. And then obviously these days, LinkedIn is vital when you're pursuing a career and making connections, and also your social media presence as well. So why don't we get underway, and hopefully this will advance. There we go. So I'll talk, you really already covered, Jamin already kind of covered my career journey. So I'll breeze through that, but then we'll talk about resume tips, LinkedIn, social media, and then some networking ideas as well. So, in addition to some of what Jamin talked to you about, some of the companies I've been fortunate enough to work for include Caterpillar with their ag equipment and also construction equipment. So Caterpillar was my first foray into the agricultural industry. They used to have a Challenger line of equipment that they've since sold off, but it had, tractors and combines and everything that a grower would need for, a medium to large scale operation. Also had a chance to work early in my career for General Electric. At that time it was still led by Jack Welch, which will mean something to Jamin and Leslie and I, but maybe not to the younger part of the crowd. But he was a very strong leader and, that permeated all the way through the end of the whole company. So I learned a lot while I was there. Coke Agronomics, is very heavy in the fertilizer part of the ag industry, and although we're environmentally concerned, it is something that is needed by growers throughout the world to produce the crops that we need. So, but over time, in enjoying the outdoors as much as I do, and enjoying history. My undergrad was actually a history degree, and some of the presidents that I admire, one in particular, Teddy Roosevelt, really started, kind of the national parks program, and took on industries and their lax way of protecting the environment, and I admire what he did, and that all combination led me to start to pursue my interest in the environmental space. The first step and the impetus was Al Gore and the movie The Inconvenient Truth. Was an eye opener for a lot of people, but it was a little bit of an eye opener for me, but more of a action spur type of moment. And that's when I started to get involved with the Climate Reality Project. I went through their global training. And then as part of that global training, you come out of that with an action step that you're supposed to pursue. And my action step was to restart the regional chapter for the project in the St. Louis region, which I did. Built out an 8-person leadership team, and we started to get involved with the city of St. Louis and their sustainability efforts, and also worked with some of the schools in the area, Principia in particular, for some of their green school efforts. That continued to develop over time, working with the regional Sierra Club and their communications efforts. More recently, I went through a 12-week cohort on climate leadership with a organization called Terra.do, which I recommend everybody look into. And professionally, I've been working with Open Space STL here in the St. Louis area for a little over a year. They are, as I mentioned, celebrating their 60th anniversary. They've formed a lot of the parks, state, county, and municipal in the area, like Castlewood. They do a lot of water-based cleanups as well. Operation Clean Stream is going on 58 years, which is the longest running river cleanup in America. And I do some other leadership in different volunteer roles as well, which helped open other green-based type of opportunities. So that's a little more augmentation on my career journey. Any questions on that before we move on? Or we can hold for all the questions at the end. So yeah, let's start with your resume. In today's age, where we get bombarded with messages left and right, emails come in, all day long. We get texts and calls, and looking at social media. Our time is consumed by different stuff coming in different directions. For your resume, especially for the college seniors, but definitely something for the those in high school to begin building out, is you need to be concise and make your story as much pop on one page as possible. As you begin your career search and looking at different roles, it's important to tailor it to each job. With AI becoming more and more a part of our life, and HR, resources delegating a lot of the initial screening through those type of tools, you need to make sure that your resume speaks to the job that you're seeking as clearly as possible. In that effort, you need to use action and result-based bullets on your resume. Make them quantifiable where possible. I did this and it improved X this amount. People want to see how you made an impact. So generalities are not going to make that point for you. You have to show, where possible, where you had an impact on a result. And, as you look at your school career and the different clubs and associations that you've been a part of, you can speak to, the projects and efforts that you worked on, and try to quantify some of those efforts as examples to use on your resume. And of course, include relevant coursework and volunteerism. I will admit, when I was in college back in the day, and I'm not going to tell you when I graduated, this was not as much of an emphasis. And I'm impressed. I have one daughter who's 17 and the other's 19. She's a sophomore at KU. And I'm impressed by the volunteerism that this generation is doing. It made what I did back then pale in comparison. So, tout that work, because that's going to stand out. That shows that you're engaged, that you're motivated to make a difference. Keep it clean, keep it as at one page, especially at this point in your journey. Keep it concise and make it stand out visually. If you can, look at different tools that you can use. I use Canva a lot, but there's others that are available, and see what you can make from a stylistic perspective, make it stand out from others. Moving on to LinkedIn, the purpose of LinkedIn is to get noticed and to reach out and get to know people. And it's important to do that in different ways. From as far as the profile part of your LinkedIn presence, make sure that you have a very, just like with your resume, make it very concise, and don't bury the lead. Make it exciting as well. Have a headline that grabs attention. You want to stand out. In the about section on your LinkedIn, well, first of all, let me back up. Even if you're in high school, but definitely if you're in college, go ahead and create a LinkedIn profile. My sophomore in college has one, and my sophomore in high school will be making one pretty soon. She has work experience that can start to build out a LinkedIn profile. So if you haven't done it yet, make one. And if you have done it, let's augment it and make it stand out more. So I should have mentioned that at the beginning. In the about section, craft a story about what you've done and where you want to go. That's going to grab people's attention, and it'll let them know where your interests lie, and what type of career path that you're seeking, and how it fits their needs. With the tools that LinkedIn has for recruiters to use, the easier you can make it to have recruiters find you for particular roles, the better. List all relevant experience, just like with your resume, even if it's a volunteer role. They'll want to see the breadth and depth of what you've done and what you've been involved in. You have the opportunity to list volunteer roles, post, presentations, post examples. So make it visually pop as well. I'm going to share my LinkedIn profile with you at the end of the presentation, a link to it, and you can check it out. Like I've had some recent interactions with the media here in St. Louis. I put that on there because it shows the public and media relations efforts and the fruit of that effort visually for someone to see. So anything that you can visually represent, do it on LinkedIn as well. Here's the important part, I think, overall, after you've built out your profile. Engage, but do it in a very intentional way. not in a way where you want to be a seeker of knowledge and connections and develop relationships and ask them questions. When you reach out to and develop a new connection, try to set up a time to talk to them, pick their brain about their company and their role, and don't ask them for something the first, I would say, 2 to 3 times you interact with them. Make sure that you're intentional in building that relationship and explaining what your background is and what you can bring to them, but do it in a more of a passive way within the conversation, and build up that trust level and rapport before perhaps moving on to an ask stage. I would do that at a later stage. As you're engaging, after you've made a connection with somebody, intentionally comment and share and their post where it is relevant to what you're interested in, where you can intelligently and competently engage with them. It will show that, besides your one-on-one connection and outreach to them, that you're listening to them and you're watching what they're doing and you're engaging with them in a meaningful way. Follow the companies and individuals that you're trying to make connections with, so that you can stay on top of what they're sharing on that medium as well. Any questions on any of that yet before we move on? No? Okay. I think this is the most important slide perhaps of the presentation. And I have to admit, I am very thankful social media was not around when I was in high school and college. And I hope I would have followed this advice. But if you haven't considered this in the past, moving forward, you need to be very intentional on it. Show up online the way that you want to be remembered. So I would suggest each of you, either later tonight or later this weekend, search yourself across all platforms. Look at your footprint, and where possible, maybe clean it up. Employers, in many cases, are going to do the same thing. They're going to look you up on as many platforms as possible to see if you share their values and mission. And it's easy with the tools that recruiters and HR professionals have. So use the platforms to share value-driven content. And I know, as an adult, me saying this to teenagers or young 20-somethings, it's a fun time of your life, but you're also at a transitional point of your life, and you have to give this very strong consideration. There are just millions of stories of people that have posted stuff that just throw up red flags and are off tone of the current conversation within our society. And those posts could affect an employment decision down the line. So give that strong consideration. It may be no fun to do that, but it's the right thing to do. So moving forward, I would stress to be intentional and consistent, and protect your social media and online presence. So I think Leslie and Jamin, being parents, probably would be nodding their heads along with that. So
Yeah.
relationship building. Networking's hard. So I don't know if hate's the right word, but I put it in there. But reaching out to people, depending on your different personality types, can be a difficult maneuver. But it sounds like from the brief introductions that everybody did at the top of the meeting, that this is a, I wouldn't say aggressive group, but a extroverted type of group of people. So this might not be as hard to do, but it sounds like you're already doing it within your school systems. You're joining groups and volunteering. So continue that type of behavior. Feed your curiosity. That should be a lifelong pursuit. I think knowledge should be a pursuit until your final day. So keep that enthusiasm up as you move along your path in school and into your early career, and engage in the groups that are going to help start further the career path that you want to pursue. Be very intentional in that as well as you are in what you do on the previous topics that we've already talked about. When you're networking, follow up thoughtfully. As I mentioned on the LinkedIn connections, give before you ask. So see what you can do for them before trying to move forward with your agenda. And look at different connections in the lens of building long-term, low-pressure type of relationships. Seek out mentors where you can that can help steer you in the right direction. So what can you do? I mean, today's Thursday, so you've got a few days left in the week, but let's stretch that out. What can you do in the next couple of weeks? Definitely polish that resume and ask for feedback. I'm going to give you my email later on, and you have Leslie and Jamin as resources as well. But ask for feedback. Let's get it to the point where you can make it pop and catch people's attention and fit that criteria that we talked about earlier. Add any green experiences to LinkedIn. Obviously, if you haven't already, what you're doing with this organization needs to be highlighted first and foremost. But any other experiences that you have, let's start to build that into your profile. Reach out to 5 people. I think that's a manageable goal. It's not too much. It's not too little. I think it's Goldilocks. So target 5 people, and also follow 3 organizations that you admire. So what brands stand out to you? And what type of work are they doing? Both on LinkedIn or elsewhere online or within your network, find an event that you can sign up for. Further your education, build up your network, see what fits that bill, and sign up for it. For those graduating in a couple of weeks, maybe find an event in late May or early June instead of right now. Keep your eye on the prize and walk down that aisle and get that degree first. But there's events scheduled throughout the year for many of the things that you're interested in. Seek one out and reach out to someone for advice, whether it's within this group or outside of it. The high school students are approaching summer. So what are you going to do during the summer that is going to further your goals? For those approaching graduation, where, in a challenging economic environment, the more people you can reach out to, the more opportunities you're going to unearth. So what's on your mind? Is there anything that I've talked about that you have questions about? The floor is yours. I'm willing to do my best to answer them, or we could move them offline in the future. But does anybody have any questions about what we've covered today?
We do have a question in the chat about advice for introverts that struggle to connect with others. If that's really uncomfortable, how do you get beyond that? What advice would you give?
it's going back to just having the approach of having the casual conversation. So don't make it something that is going to involve anything outside your comfort zone, but you're just seeking advice. So it just ask the question. And I take the approach to business and networking like the movie The Godfather, which is another reference Leslie and Jamin will get, but maybe not the rest of you. But one of the famous quotes from that movie is, "It's not personal, it's just business." So don't take a no as a personal rejection. It's just maybe something that a person has a certain bandwidth at that time, and you can come back to them at another time. But just, if you see somebody that you're interested in connecting with, just ask them if they have 10 or 15 minutes to have a conversation, and make it easy for them, and that will make it easy for you, even if you're not naturally inclined to do that type of outreach. Make it as I mentioned earlier, make it as low pressure as possible, and just getting to know somebody and saying hi.
Yeah, and you were talking too about commenting and asking questions on LinkedIn posts or things that people share, articles. That's a great first step to kind of warm yourself
Exactly.
up to that. You don't have to start with the 10 or 15-minute phone call.
Yeah, if you see somebody that you like and you follow them and you make, let's say, over the next month or two, 4 or 5 comments, then you could maybe message them and say, "Hey, I really liked what you said about this topic back in May. I'd love to get to know you and your company better and introduce myself." And they'll at least see the connection and maybe go back and look at that post in your comment and be able to have that conversation. So Leslie is spot on. Some other thoughts for you, especially those starting. Well, this is a combination of job search and volunteering. So some other thoughts for you to do to take action on is research green organizations that maybe you haven't thought of before. For those college seniors, look at the Green Job Board. Terra.do has a great Slack community and some educational opportunities that could expand your skill set. So I would suggest looking at that. Idealist as well. I do volunteering for Work on Climate. They're always looking for volunteers. They do a lot of events, and a lot of those events are focused on how do you transition into a green job. So you can work as an event organizer and donate some time to that organization. Perhaps look at the Climate Reality Project and go through their global training. It's online. It's 2 times a year and lasts about a week. But it's something that could be a highlight on your resume in the future. There are great environmental organizations throughout Missouri. I listed some that are St. Louis specific, but there are opportunities in all of your areas to get involved in. So look at that if you haven't done so in the past, and see, I just got contacted within the last 2 weeks by one student from the University of Dayton and one from SIU Edwardsville, both seeking internships. So I'm going to have an augmented staff here in a couple of weeks, and the nonprofits are lean and mean. They're not blessed with large staff. As both Leslie and Jamin can attest to, they need help, and free help is the best help, as long as it's motivated and interested. So reach out to some of these organizations and see if you can get some experience with them, because it could lead to a future job opportunity. Or you build up that network within your region, and other organizations are going to see how you operate, and maybe there'll be opportunities there as well. So I would recommend that. So if you do have any questions, you can definitely email me. I'm welcome to, I'm almost through Earth Day, which is this, the festival here in St. Louis is this weekend. So I'll have a little bit more time after Sunday, but if you have a resume that you want me to look at, shoot me an email, or you can go to my LinkedIn profile and connect with me. So we can stay in touch. But thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
We should all send you a some sort of a post through LinkedIn and get this rolling.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
will expect it.
I have a
Does anybody
couple
have any
of
questions?
comments, questions related to a few of the things that you brought up, Charles. First of all, you were talking about Al Gore and Inconvenient Truth and his steadfast work that he has done over decades. And it occurred to me something that could really resonate with these young people is climate action is something that's been around for a really, really long time. The understanding of global warming and climate has been around for decades. Inconvenient Truth came out in 2006. And he was even working on that longer ago than that, like 30 some odd years ago when he wrote Earth in the Balance. So one of the things that I know that these young people are very frustrated with knowing that the information is out there and proven, and yet we're still really dragging our feet in this across the planet, but definitely in our own communities and in our own nation in terms of getting at that problem. So my comment on that was that we at MEEA definitely support through our values that we're not going to stop advocating for environmental justice, for climate action, for another way we can mentor you. I know JJ was asking about mentoring opportunities in the chat. You know, how do you reach out to your legislators in a respectful and civics oriented way, because you are inheriting this planet, and we want to help you know how to take action and speak and give you a voice for that. So just wanted to mention that is related to our mission, and we are totally dedicated to that in any way that we can help you take action.
Yeah, in that respect, I would say research your state representative and senator, understand their points of view, and if you're inspired to talk to them about a subject, make it as direct as possible, respectful as possible, but don't approach them initially with an ask, but the ask should be, can we meet and talk? And then during the conversation, at the end of the conversation, which you need to prepare for based on their background and the research you've done on them, at the end of that, try to make an ask at that point. But in the initial approach, make a connection, you know, tell them that, you know, they represent you,
Yes.
whether you voted for them or not, and see where you can make some sort of, you know, something that you guys can at least have a conversation on, maybe not agree on, but it definitely, if there, you know, some sort of point where you can establish a connection, and then and put that in your email or phone call to their staff. And if you're going to try to seek out it with a meeting in that respect. Now, obviously, we're in the state of Missouri, which at this point is a fairly conservative state. Didn't always historically be that way. So we're doubly challenged in the environmental aspect of your organization's mission. Obviously, Missouri is also a strong agricultural state. So, but on the environmental side, you have to understand the landscape, but understand the landscape from a look at it as a marathon. Just because we're in a certain political environment today does not necessarily mean in about a year and a half that we'll be in the same political environment. And definitely in 4 years, things can change. So keep your eye on the long range prize of protecting the environment, but understand that the tone and approach of any conversation within the state of Missouri, you need to personalize it with anybody that you're having a conversation with. How does the environment impact them? Because if you don't relate it to the individual and just start citing a bunch of global stats, they're either going to tune you out, deny it, or not engage. So try to engage at a personal level and how it might affect them and their family.
Right, absolutely. And I'm so glad that, Charles, that you brought up the agricultural part, because Leslie and I are just really amazed at how across our state, how regenerative ag and caring for the soil, water, and air is important to people from one corner of our state to the rest, to every corner. And nobody cares about that more than family farmers in particular. So there's a really, that's a great way to connect with representatives and folks in our legislature, because we can all relate to that. And I appreciate that very much. And that's something too that Leslie and I do every year. And some of our participants here today went with us last year. Every year, the Conservation Federation of Missouri hosts what's called a day at the Capitol, or a conservation day at the Capitol. And we actually had some of our yellers there with us and helped them find their state senators and state reps, and got to go meet them and talk to them and tell them who they were and what they cared about. And it was a beautiful thing. And when you have those one-on-one conversations with people, it's very pleasant. It's very pleasant. So that's also what MEEA is here to do, is help with the advocacy part. Just like what you're saying, how to do that approach. All right.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you so much for being here, Charles.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay on with us. Everybody stay on. We've got a few more things that we want to
I've got to run, but I appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks. See you again
Bye-bye.
soon. Thank you so much.
See you later. All right, we got 2 more topics, y'all.
Well, one of the things that this is such a great idea, Leslie, I think you came up with this idea. If you don't already have the iNaturalist app on your phone, so if you're familiar with doing a reaction, or if you just want to turn on your video and give a thumbs up, let me know if you already have the iNaturalist app on your phone. We want to see if you've already participated in that. There he is. JJ's got it. It is a free app. Addie's got it. It's very helpful to interpreters and people out in the field for sure. But I didn't realize it had just been, well, not just, but it's been updated, and it's got some great, some really awesome projects and things that you can do within it. And there's ways that you can share. So Leslie created a Missouri Environmental Education Association project group, and super fun. So once you download the iNaturalist app, it's very easy to go to the menu and look for a project in there. And you can just type in MEEA, and it'll actually show up as MEEA Yeller's observations or something like that. And then you can take a picture of something in nature, whatever it might be, a plant, a mushroom, an animal of some sort, and take a picture of it and then post it on in your app, and then share it with that project. And across Missouri, we can start sharing observations that we make about nature. And if we can't figure out if the app can't figure out what the actual organism is, then maybe we can help each other figure that out. Leslie created this idea, and I love it. And we're going to have prizes for participating. So each quarter we'll give prizes for, weirdest observations. What else did you have here?
Yeah, we're not
Most
sure
observations.
exactly, but see how it shakes out.
Yes.
Yeah, we're thinking weird ones. Who does the most
Yeah.
per month? There's an opportunity. This is sort of a citizen science tool as well as a recreational tool. So you can, your observations can be marked as research grade if certified identifiers, if 3 of them say, yep, you got it right. And it's, you need to make sure that you have to designate whether this is a cultivated, like something that you planted or someone planted, or if it's found in nature. It's, in the wild. Only the not planted by humans can be used for research grade observations, but that's pretty awesome. But I can't take credit
And
for
I
this
would love,
idea. It was Lauren's idea, another
is
yeller.
Lauren Baker.
Yeah,
Yay, I love this idea. And it's a lot of
Yeah, we were thinking it'd be really cool to, gamify something, have a reason for folks to come back every quarter to these, have a few prizes. But also life, this is a fun time of life, but it's also can be kind of a stressful time, right? And there's just so much swirling around in the ethos that is stressful. And we know that connecting with nature and slowing down, taking a close look, close observation is a really good way to help yourself, to take care of yourself. We hear a lot about self-care. This is a great self-care. I use this for self-care. You'll see right now the MEEA YEL observation project is my IDs mostly. Jamin added a few. You have to have 50 IDs to create a project. So 50 observations, sorry. So I will start deleting my old ones once 50 from you, but right now you'll see, you'll know how my brain works. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. So please, once you join the project, I believe the settings are such that any of your observations that occur in the state of Missouri will automatically funnel in there, but I'm going to have to learn as I go too. So, but
I think this would be a really cool thing for our yellers that come to the conference. And by the way, you may have seen in the chat, I put the save the date for our conference. It's going to be in Como and
Jeff City. Oh, you froze.
Jeff City this year, but it can be kind of, can you hear me?
You're cutting in and out. But yeah, we will try and incorporate this in our conference somehow.
Okay.
Any questions
All
about
right.
the iNaturalist stuff? Okay. All right then. Jamie, I think you keep freezing, so I'm just going to move on to this part here. That's okay. So what we've been kind of noodling around is, as you know, MEEA is a tiny nonprofit with 2 part-time staff members, and we have big dreams, but we can't get everything done that needs to be done. And so as we've started kind of fleshing out what YEL could mean for MEEA and for all of you, we thought if we could get some volunteer help that we actually can provide a little bit of compensation for, to make it a win-win for us to get some things off the ground or get kind of cleaned up that we need help cleaning up, that would be awesome. So we have identified a few projects to start, and we will update the project list every quarterly webinar. So this will be a part, like follow the same format every meeting, every webinar, guest speaker on a topic, and then on our iNaturalist stuff, and also the volunteer opportunities. So we will be sending out an application for these projects that we're going to share just in a minute, along with the recording of the webinar tonight. But what will happen is if you're selected to be, helping out with one of these projects, then you will have some training for us to get you up to speed, and then regular supervision and check-ins from Jamin or myself, and some projects, both of us. what you'll need to do is, fulfill your commitment and ask us if you get stuck. That may happen because this is a new initiative. So we will learn a lot, I'm sure, about what works and what doesn't. But we will also need you to keep a record of your hours and the tasks that you work on. It's a kind of a way for accountability, but also for us to figure out, okay, are we correct in our estimation of the time that these things will take to do? Because some of these things will be repeated over time. And then we would also need what's called a W-9, and we'll send links to what this is along with the application. But we need to submit that to us before you would start the project, because we will require that in order to be able to, my accountant requires us to to have that. It's just dotting our I's and crossing our T's in terms of our accounting and the stuff that we have to submit to the IRS and the state. So those are kind of the nuts and bolts of this opportunity. And so what we've identified so far, and Jamin, feel free to weigh in if I don't give all the detail.
Okay.
But we've come up with these 6 projects that are going to help us in a big way over the next 6 months. Some of them are shorter time frames, some of them are longer. Feel free, to ask questions now or later about these. But the things that we're looking for, we'll give details on each project, but there's the project listed, the time frame that you'd be committing for, the estimated hours, and this is really where we are just, some of these we are not sure, but we're just guessing, hopefully guessing close. And then the stipend amount that would be attached. And just an FYI, the stipend is the stipend. Even if you're faster than we think, or it takes a little bit longer, the stipend is the stipend. So this is, we're trying to be as good of an estimator as we can. So if we're way off base somehow, which I don't think we are, we can definitely revisit that. And, we are not trying to milk extra volunteer hours out of you that go well beyond what this estimation is. So if it was something like that, then we would need to revisit. But if it's a little bit off, we will just go with it, and then we will adjust for the next round. But first and foremost, we are looking for one of our YEL members to be a liaison between this group and our membership committee, and potentially attending those committee meetings if that works for you, but definitely helping us with some of our record keeping and outreach to grow this group. We're estimating that it would take about 3 hours a month. This one is probably more like maybe 4 hours in the first month, because we do have some data wrangling to do, some of our records that we just have not had the bandwidth to get under control, for you to help us get all of our YEL member information into our constituent database. And then it would be a matter of keeping those up to date, adding, sign up interest sheets folks to our database, and then helping us do some outreach and maybe think through outreach, things like that. So that's that one. On the MEEA website, we have an events calendar that it's been real. Again, a lot of this is down to our capacity or our time that we have. Adding events to the website calendar. This is a really simple, kind of like very low mental bandwidth, but very helpful if we can be seen as a spot that this website always has these events that are current. That's going to be really, really helpful to us. So short training to show you how to do this, and Jamin and I would just basically forward you the emails that we get that we're like, oh, this would be great to put on the website. And we'd ask you to collect those and throw those up there every week, once a week. Another big website project that's really important, especially for our educators, and there's a lot of opportunity to provide some more student opportunities here too, but our grants, our available grants opportunities page. This is something that's been languishing for a long time now, but it is such an invaluable resource for our educators if we can keep that up to date. It's a clunky-ish kind of process, the one that I inherited when I took on this job. So I know 5 hours a month is basically what it used to take me. This one, you probably need to block out a couple of hours once a month to update the list, and then another couple hours, maybe less, to put all that stuff, like rotate the information that's on the website. So if that's something that you're interested in, that would be awesome. Those are both really, really important in terms of our public presence, as are the last three. Social media has been an area where we really, really have also never, actually, this is one where we've never actually had a plan, and it's just been kind of ad hoc, hit or miss what we do. So we would really love to start with one of our YEL volunteers to sign on for a month-long commitment, so maybe this is a summertime thing, because we'd love to start having regular posts in the third quarter of the year and really kind of roll this out in the third quarter. But maybe over the summer, if somebody thinks I could help you develop the content calendar and work with Jamin on figuring out what topics do we want to hit and when, and how often do we want to post. So that's another one. And then we would love to have a YEL person starting in the third quarter, which would be July. Yes, July. Start helping us for the second half of the year. Spend about an hour, maybe a little over every week, or maybe you could chunk it all out in a 1 week and just schedule them to post, but create that actual content for our social media. And we have Facebook and Instagram. And it would be great too, because we do have a MEEA account on LinkedIn, but Jamin and I just really focus on our personal account. So it'd be Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn. And then finally, for some green school support, one of the things that I would love to do, and this would just be working with somebody to give you a list of our Show Me Green Schools partner network members. And those are just organizations across the state that want to help schools be greener and healthier. And they've signed on to be like an official partner with us. I would love to get all of their social media handles put in one place and to be able to share out with that, to tag them on all these things that we're doing, to great work. So that would be, all of these things are going to help us expand our reach and meet our mission. And they will also be things that you could put on your resume. And we would definitely want to, I think resume building it's good for, and also to learn just, different people's ways of supervising and learning in a safe space, that it's okay if you mess up. We're a safe space to try something that may not be your lane in the future. That's okay. This is a great place for you to try something out and think, okay, I'm proud that I did that, but I don't want to do that for a job, right? Like, or you might be like, wow, I really like this communications thing, or I think it's really fun to be poking around the back end of a website. So we're really hoping to every quarter to have some unique and helpful projects, and hopefully grow this list of ways that y'all can help us and we can help you at the same time over time. So any questions right now on that? All right, then. Jamin, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, well, I think
So
it's
happy.
8:15 and Jamin's going to wrap us up. I can't believe we did this in hours.
Yeah, I know. It's so exciting. Well, I added some things in the chat too related to social media. I'm like jazzed up about if anybody wants to help me add content to our YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, I love that. So we have one, it has like 4 things posted on it. Why did I do this when I said 4? I don't know. But anyway, we have come to the end of what we wanted to present today. Thank you all very much for your comments and questions on the chat, and also just out loud with us and to Charles. I think this has been a great collaborative mix, and I love that we have people from all over the state, and from some have their career already, and some of them are getting ready to leap. And we're here for you. However we can help, you're a part of something. And this is a great, I love this idea too of these quarterly get-togethers. Next, I want to mention before we get off of here too, I almost forgot to write this down, Leslie, is our next meeting is scheduled for July 24th. Leslie, do you want to let them know who the speaker is going to be for that?
Yeah, so the topic next time is going to be all about native plants and horticulture careers. And we are going to have Jerry Pence, who is the head of the horticulture department at St. Louis Community College, which is an awesome program for horticulture if you're not familiar with it. And they include ecological services of plants in every course on some level. And we're also going to have Carol David, who is the director of the Missouri Prairie Foundation, which leads the Grow Native, like the arm where they're a large part of why you see native plants in retail trade now. And they even have a certification for native plant specialists. And then finally, we're going to have Jasmine Abraron. I forget how to say her last name, but she is with Seed Your